Hello everyone, the December review here, back again with a movie review. Today, we have the 9th film in the Saw franchise, Spiral, from the Book of Saw, starring Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. Does this casting A-list manage to jumpstart the series, or are we left with another trap gone wrong? Let's play the game and find out.
Jigsaw?
Wait, I thought the Jigsaw Killer was dead.
He is.
Chris Rock plays Zeke Banks, a police officer who once turned on his partner, who committed an act that got him kicked off the force. In the years since, the rest of the precinct doesn't really care much for him, ignoring his calls for backup or just drowning him out completely. Seemingly, his only friend is the police captain Angie Garza, played perfectly by Marissa Nichols, and his father Marcus Banks, played by Jackson, the now retired captain. One day, an officer is taken out in one of those Jigsaw-style ways, and it's up to Zeke, along with his new partner William, to stop the madman whose game has only just begun. Fans of the Saw franchise were surprised to find out that Chris Rock was on board for the next film. Being a huge Rock fan myself, I was intrigued by the news. When word broke that Samuel L. Jackson was also involved, my anticipation level went through the roof. Digging a little bit deeper into the process, it turns out that Chris has been a big fan of the series, and during a meeting with the franchise's producers, Chris mentioned that there wasn't much humor in the films, specifically Part 2. The end result was the merging of an idea Chris already had with the Saw mythos, while citing the film 48 Hours as a reference point, and Spiral was born. If the talk and lead up to the film about adding in humor and jokes was a bit worrying, I can happily report that any concerns over the tone of the series is for naught, as Spiral sits alongside all the other films in the series and does so quite well. There are a few moments that will make you laugh or smirk, but they are mostly early on in the film before most of the traps have sprung, and they fit nicely within the context of its moment. This isn't a comedy, it's a Saw film. Taking a step back from the Jigsaw plotline, Spiral allows for a fresh start. Fans of the series will know that the storylines for most of the sequels got a bit too convoluted, too over their head, trying to hit you with that got you moment that wraps up each film. Is Jigsaw still alive? Who did he recruit? It became the Jigsaw soap opera where if you missed the last week's episode, you were starting below the curve once parts 5, 6, 7, and 8 were in your local cinemas. Spiral benefits greatly from creating a new starting point. The events of all the previous films are noted, but they are over. It seems we have a copycat on our hands, so the traps and reasoning behind them get to play in the established Saw world, but the who and the why is brand new. So what we are left with is your basic whodunit procedural. People are being taken out in real time one by one. They get kidnapped, then awaken in a trap with minutes to play the game or get smoked. Zeke is one step behind trying to put the pieces together. With each passing moment, he realizes he is the one actually being targeted. I don't want to say much more about the actual plot details since these films rely heavily on the mystery it's unfolding. For the story being told here, I was very impressed, more so than many other films in the series. The movie did a great job with its red herrings, as every 15 minutes or so I thought I had figured things out, but by the time the final reveal was done, I never saw it coming. I was reminded of the first Scream film in that regard. Sure, in hindsight it was all there to be seen, but thankfully the script is smart and knew how to accent the subterfuge while keeping its true motivation under the surface. And it wasn't convoluted, but rather a nice line from point A to point B, a true cause and effect mystery that worked. With this being a Saw film, one would have to discuss the traps, and we get some pretty cool ones here. Much like the film itself, they get messier and more intense as things rolled along, mainly in the second half, where one in particular had me wincing. There didn't seem to be that many overall, but the ones used were very effective and again worked within the context of its reasoning. This isn't the trapped in the house of horror room style we've seen, say, in the second film, but more of a straight-up investigational thriller where each game is played in that moment. One negative aspect to the film and the traps to a degree is Zeke is being sent clues along the way. Very minor spoilers here, but these clues would show up in the form of a box usually containing the after effects of the previous unlucky soul, while also tipping things off to the next trap. Zeke would try to figure out what it all means before the next game is played. These boxes, while fine with plot device, were just opened up sight unseen for a while with little to no worry that whatever is inside there just might, blow up or something. It was just, hey, here's a box from the killer and Zeke is popping them open like it's his birthday. They finally addressed this later in the film when a slightly larger box showed up and someone said it needed to be checked out first. But that should have been going on from the moment the first one arrived. Just saying. Chris Rock does a great job here playing the slightly jaded but heart in the right place officer. Having such a well-known actor in the role didn't seem out of place and in fact elevated the film. I never felt like I wasn't watching a Saw film, but I knew I was watching a great one because of Chris. He came off convincing as the loner with the small circle, forced to live alone due to the actions of others. Samuel L. Jackson does his thing here, and as always, it's A+. Once again, having him in the film elevates it to a higher level, and the relationship between him and Zeke is well done. Having the father and son connection tied into the suspense and mystery created some nice moments of concern for the viewer. For director Barry Lynn Bousman, this is his fourth time behind the camera for the series, and it features some of his strongest work. For the traps, he specializes in the reaction shots while pulling away to reveal just enough of the full carnage, which helps build some suspense. I also enjoyed a few interesting shots, including a tripped-out moment where we see Zeke glaring through the camera with a slow-mo feel to it. I will say that I wasn't much of a fan of the voice, though, that was used for the killer. I understand this isn't Jigsaw, so the tone needed to change, but it came off a bit too processed for me. There were bits of computerized effect that sounded more like Uncanny Valley Robot than, say, Scary Psycho.
Hello, Detective Banks. Salvation was offered, but it was declined.
He thinks he's Jigsaw.
Overall, Spiral from the Book of Saw is a well-done chapter in the franchise. It doesn't rewrite the series as much as just turn the page, allowing for a new set of characters to play within the already established Saw rules. The excellent cast propels the story from good to great, as the movie gets bonus points for its star-studded affair. There are some things that were a bit off here and there, but as a reboot to a horror franchise that started 17 years ago, that's to be expected. Spiral has all of the classic Saw experiences fans have come to expect, including one heck of a homage to the original, and an excellent protagonist in Chris Rock. I recommend Spiral and give it 4 out of 5 bloody traps.
How'd you get in here?
You forget who the landlord is?
Yeah, but that doesn't give you the right to just walk in here anytime you want. Renters got rights.
You start paying some rent, you can get some rights.
If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more, and let me know your thoughts on Spiral and the Saw franchise in the comments section below.